simmering.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Susan O'Neill, and our team is EnTheory. Other team members are Elise Bond, Jason Villarette, and Joseph Drummond. I want to thank Robert with Invoke for helping us out with this project, keeping us, giving us the information that we need to be able to make it everything that Invoke needed. Of course, our project, as you've heard tonight, is a code repository to keep track of code snippets for their business. It's a web-based, of course, as with everyone else, we use Visual Studio, we use SQL Server also, GIMP 2.0, and we lived on the tutorials for the first couple of weeks of this project. None of us had ASP.NET experience or MVC3, so the first couple of weeks we were tutorial busy. And of course, Google is definitely our friends now. What we did accomplish, a login page that directs the user to a search page. We have a search page that is pre-populated with the last 4 days of new code submissions. We have buttons for the most recent code submitted, the most requested codes, the last week's worth of code, and the last month's worth of code that has been submitted to the repository. New code submission page, user page, tag page, and a about page. As far as the requirements for the project, of course, this is what we've done so far. I'm not going to really go through them. What we were not able to accomplish was the revision system. We just worked so hard on the MVC3, we did not get the revision system to function. So for now, I'm going to hand this over to Elise, and she's going to talk about our project.
This is just our basic login page. I set this up, and it has validation for different users. You have your admin, you have your regular user. I'm going to try login. It does have validation, so if I put in the wrong password, it just sends you back to the page that says invalid login. If you don't put in a field, you know, it checks for the different fields. Just to make sure that you're putting everything in. So then I'll go ahead and log in correctly. It's going to take me straight to the home page. The home page comes up with the last 5 days worth of code, just automatically shows you the code that's been sorted by date. The most recent are at the top. And here we have the buttons that Susan talked about. New shows the newest code by date. This shows the most popular by rating, so the rating on the side, and it orders it by highest rating. And then also we have the week and the month. Shows the code submitted in the last week, and then the code submitted in the last month, also sorted by date. And now I'm just going to hand it over to Jason. He's going to talk about the search and what we have that do.
Okay, so here we've got your basic search, and I'm going to show you actually a really neat feature about it. We've actually got multiple keyword search. So for this I'm going to search PHP, and just to show that it even skips words that aren't in there, I'm going to search for coffee, which obviously is not in here, and then I'm going to search for Ruby, which is. Okay? And here we have the results, got the ratings, and we've got just the code, or the description, and then we've got the title. So I'm going to click on command line translation on Google API. Okay, so here we have the result, or the result page for this, and we've got your rating, which you can increase and decrease, and then we've got your title, and as you can see in the code, we've got syntax highlighting, and we've got the number line, line numbers, and if you start to go further down, you have the comments. And because we're logged in as least, I'm going to leave a comment and just say, hi, this is your test. Okay? Now, There we go. Hi, this is Ted. It has a timestamp and everything, and also related links. Here we go. And that's our related links right there, but that was actually this one, so I'll bring you to another one. Okay. Here we go. This is one of the related links, and it's got related links to that one, based on the tags. And I'm gonna let Susan take this over, so she can explain.
I'm going to show the add a new code submission. From the top menu, it's a Telerik menu that we are using at the top. I have a small piece of code that we don't have to sit here and watch me type all this stuff. And the code, as you type it in, does not show the syntax highlighting. That shows up in the preview whenever you do a search on the code. And let me see, performance, it's a tag. And I submit the code. On the next page, it's going to be the first one on because the code listing automatically shows them in the most recently submitted order, so it's the very first one at the top. Of course, there's no rating. No one has looked at it yet to give me a rating. And now I'm going to let Joe talk to you about the users and the tags.
My name is Joseph Bjorman. I'm going to be talking to you about the users and the tags. First of all, we're logged in as Elise, and she's an admin user. So whenever we go here, we see the Create New Users button here, which we can use to create new users. And this is for in case Invoke has multiple locations, throughout. You can figure out what location each user is from, and view them that way. And also they have their tags and what they specialize in. Maybe you want to search that or call that location up and ask for a particular employee to help you out with something. If you're at another branch and you need help. And so we see that work. User. We're making an admin. So you see the new user here, they work at Baton Rouge office and they blank temp chart. So off to the tags page. The tags are for whenever you create new code and you add in your tags. You have the name of the tag that you added in there, and you also have the quantity of how many code tags have, how many code submissions actually have that tag associated with it. And these are, they're laid out on the screen from the highest quantity first, and then they go alphabetically after that. So that's the tag page.
The other reason why we have them in the order that they are is that this lets you see what's the most popular. There could be so many pieces of code put in with a certain type of language. And it would help administration, it would help people in the office to know, what's the most popular programming language out there right now.
And what people are having the most problems with in case, one of the sites have to bring in, someone to possibly help out in that area. They could have a volunteer or visitor from.
Thank you for listening, and are there any questions?
Click on those tags. Yeah. The same thing.
There were several things we would like to have implemented, but because we didn't have to spend so much time researching, we weren't able to spend as much time coding as we would have liked.
Did you guys implement ASP.NET leadership for users?
No.
Did anybody do that? Just use the built-in extra flash?
Well, Liz, didn't you say something about not using their, login?
Yeah, we didn't use the ASP.NET membership. I didn't even know about that until later down the road, and we already had it set up like this. Looked into it, and it didn't mesh with what we were doing. Well, we could have gone back and done it, but we just decided at that point, time-wise, we were supposed to.
And just in case y'all didn't know, if the default project template that you get with ASP.NET MVC, all the login stuff's already done for you.
I guess it's good that you go and roll your own, but when you implement it for the first time, you're gonna hit yourself in the face. You didn't do it there. It's cool.
Anyone else?
Yeah, can you go one by one and tell me what was the most difficult challenge that you encountered and how you beat it? Briefly.
Well, because I've used C# quite a bit, it was very hard to realize that there was so much that MVC already does for you that we were thinking we need to work around, and we didn't because MVC already did it.
Like what?
So it was, well, again, with the login, I mean, you don't have to really do any validations yourself for the logins, it's already done for you. I mean, a lot of it was validations mostly. But trying to submit to the database in C#, you'd have to use like database.attach, database.insert on submit. Here you don't, you just have to submit the change and that's it. And also it was hard to realize the things that MVC didn't do because we had no prior experience with it. So trying to delete a record was really interesting.
All of these things you're talking about are at the farthest point from the user interface. Like MVC's responsibilities do not extend to persistence. So MVC is about processing the page. It's about taking the request and you performing some processing and it spitting it back out. I'm not quite understanding how it got in the way of how you accessed or interacted with the database.
Well, like I said, in C#, there were just so many functions that I was so used to using that MVC did not use because it was already implemented in a different way, trying to figure out how to use it in MVC. And that was the hardest part. And it really was nearly everything, every piece of function that I tried to start with C#, I would have to figure out, well, no, I can't do it this way, I have to do it another way in MVC. And that really was the hardest part. I had to get used to it, so. I'm still not very comfortable working with it. I'm going to need some more time with the MVC to really get to understand how it works.
By the time you're comfortable working with it, there will be a new technology and it's not.
I guess the most difficult challenge was sometimes code placement. You know, does it go in view? Well, I mean, clearly, you know, like stuff that's viewed on the page is going to go in view and, you know, different things like that. But initially, just not having too much experience in any of that. You know, if you want to use certain models or in one view, you know, how to implement, how to put those different models into that view and use multiple controllers and just
I struggle with that a lot too, man. So I know exactly what you're talking about. But once you figure it out, then you know you have to find the convention that's used. You have to use the pattern so that whoever you're handing it off to, they go, oh yeah, I know exactly where to find whatever I'm looking for because you put it in the same spot that most developers that understand it put it. But in the beginning, you don't get to just make them up and put them where you want. You got to figure it out.
Yeah, before this I haven't had hardly any experience with HTML and specifically not MVC free framework, and a lot of my time was spent trying to figure out the difference between the model view and the control and what went in each and what goes in this one, not the other one. That's what spent most of my time.
Cool.
For me, just the overall idea of the MVC, the model view controller. I mean, each individual issue that I ran into wasn't so bad because, I mean, you Google, you ask for help, and you get it figured out. But just the overall concept of separating the components into the model view and the controller and then talking between them just was really confusing for me because I haven't done this type of thing before, and I just had trouble wrapping my head around like how exactly all that works.
So what were some of the resources that you guys used? You highlighted it in the presentation. If you would name one person who was publishing blogs or tutorials, could you name one that you?
Pluralsight.
Photo site was pretty
I
good?
remember one.
Yeah. I got a guy who doesn't know anything about the web, we just hired, and he found this, and he runs to me and he's like, this is incredible. I'm like, yeah, go back to the office. The guy who runs the team who created NBC is Scott Guthrie, who works at Microsoft. He inflicted web forms upon us back in, way back when, and we hated him, and we like him now because he does NBC. He publishes a lot of blogs. He runs a lot of tutorials. I think it's like blogs by Microsoft. It's Scott, just search for Scott Gu.
Yeah.
He creates the stuff, so he's the one to ask
And
about.
actually-
So once you get past the basics that you're gonna find in a Twitter site,
Mhm.
this is where you're gonna get some technical details that maybe Stack Overflow might lead you astray, but Scott's gonna know exactly how it works.
And actually, I got help from one of the first days by Alexis setting up a Twitter account and actually following a lot of Microsoft people.
Yeah, that's one of the good ways to stay abreast of new technologies, right?
Mhm.
You guys knew about NBC, what, because Invoke was a requirement?
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you think they found out about it?
Someone did the research.
Someone's gotta stay, right? So rather than be told what you can use it in, it's great if you know the new technologies, and when a client comes to you and says, hey, we need something that does this, you go, okay, I know enough about some new technologies to sort of pick one that might work. So you gotta stay abreast of it. So following the Twitter accounts and sort of some of these guys, reading Scott Guthrie's blog, that's a good way to keep abreast of the technology.
Yeah.
Thank you.